Hello everyone, and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, and to a brand new series. In fact, today what we're going to be doing is a prelude episode, which means there's going to be a couple of them. I am going to design some ships for the starting navy. So if you are looking for the story mode, then that is going to come later. The first couple of episodes are just going to be the ship designs that I'm going to be doing. I did that last time for the last series, but off screen, kind of. So I'm not going to deprive you of that this time around. Now, if you're still here, good. You're interested in this. Welcome. Why am I doing this? Well, the way Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts campaign mode is working is that you can either let the game design a fleet for you, which leads to all kinds of interesting Frankenstein setups, or you can do it yourself. Now, the thing is that if you're starting in 1920, for what is like what we're doing here, you're going to have the most modern technology available. So you're effectively summoning a fleet from nothing. It just suddenly exists with the most modern technology available, which is both unrealistic and giving you an unfair advantage, in my opinion. So I'm not doing that. Instead, I am designing at least somewhat historical vessels that would have been around in a 1920 US Navy concept. Why am I doing 1920? Well, I was thinking about doing 1930, but the problem is the Washington Naval Treaty would have been in effect. And I don't think the game represents that. So I probably wouldn't have had the hulls available to build the ships that I actually wanted to build within treaty limitations necessarily. So instead we're doing 1920, which is much more interesting anyway. And today we are starting with the Wickes class of destroyer. Now, we're going to see how close we can get to an actual Wickes class. We're going to have to make some compromises, but the Wickes had a standard displacement of about, I think, 1,100 tons or something. 1,400 is the smallest we can get. This is actually the flush deck destroyer hull that was recently introduced. This is a new one. This wasn't around before. So let's see if we can make a 4-stacker with quad torpedo launchers out of a 1,400 tons displacement. We're going to go with standard bulkheads for this. I did the maximum bulkhead setup for everything with my Germany series, but that's going to be a standard one. If you are hearing that slight noise in the background, that would be my laptop fans. Sorry, I'm still on a gaming laptop, which means that it gets a little noisy at times, just due to space constraints, if you're new around here. Okay then, design speed. What's the 33.5 knots? What were the Wickes capable of? I'm just going to check my notes here. 35 knots. So that might get interesting. Let's put it to 35 knots and see if we have the displacement for it. And the Wickes were suffering from a somewhat short range setup. So we might do that for a start. This is not meant to be an ideal ship. We'll get to the more ideal ships as we go. But this, by the way, also is the 1.4 version of Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, which I haven't tried yet before. I've been trying to pin to 1.3 previously, which is difficult because they don't have a beta channel on Steam. So that means you're actually losing the capability of not upgrading the game, which is, given that 1.4 has invalidated its campaign saves, quite a bit of a hassle. Anyway, so what kind of tower are we going to stick onto that thing? We'll bring up a picture of the actual ship and see what we can find that matches that reasonably well. Ideally, okay, this is tall. Ideally something with a single crossbar, but I don't think we have a tower like that. And these are these chunky ones. Would it be these already? Let's see what that looks like. No, that's not that's not right. How about these towers? They do have a sort of flat balcony set up on top here. It's not 100% what I want, but I think the other ones are just smaller versions of that. So we might go with this one. It's just kind of the smallest available tower at this point. Or let's have searchlights. Real one didn't have searchlights. Well, we'll take the one in the middle, and we'll see how it goes, because we are going to have to fit a couple of guns onto this thing. And we do have some gun platforms here, but I wonder if we can fit the guns on it. One problem that I'm generally encountering is that the casemate guns aren't available anymore at this point, which is not historically accurate, but we'll do what we can. Funnels. We're going to need, these things were famously named 4-stackers, so we are going to try and see what this looks like if we put 4 of the smallest funnel on that. Yeah, engine efficiency is a bit high, but that's what they were. And we need a secondary tower. What did the secondary on that? Okay, the secondary tower is basically the simplest thing we can find. This one does have a platform, which would kind of work. Would that work for the rear gun? But I can't rotate this. The platform is sort of at the wrong end of it. The other towers... Okay, that's a simple rear tower. We might actually go with this one. Something like that. Although that thing has a sort of crow's nest observation post up top, which the Wickes wouldn't have had. So maybe we'll just stick with that arm tower, and we'll make do with... We'll see how we move things around. We do have a gun platform there. So let's get to the guns. These things had 4. I have switched this to inches, and sorry, I am not too familiar with imperial measurements, so I'm going to have to mentally translate that every time. But these things had 4-inch guns, so 102mm, 4-inch single barrel, and yes, the one... Oh no, they are open. Oh, sweet. They are semi-open. They're not the full cased. I think when I tried this on 1.3, the single barrel ones were also fully enclosed, and that was obviously not right. But these ones are at least a little bit more open. But unfortunately, I can't fit them onto these little observation posts there. So that is mildly unfortunate. And we can't fit them on top of that platform either. So this is where it can get a little interesting, because the Wickes would have had, I think, and it can be a little tricky to tell. Yeah, the Wickes would have had an open mount here, basically on the side where this little spotlight is, but I can't fit a 4-inch gun on that. And she would have had one in the rear somewhere behind the mast. Well, let's get the torpedo launchers in, because that's at least something we can do. These were triple launchers, and we do have to check the torpedo size, because they were certainly not 18-inch torpedo size. I think they were 21-inch, 533 mils. Let's check. Yes, 4 triple 21-inch torpedo launchers. So let's switch these. We don't even have the 21-inch available. All right then. So in that case, the Wickes in our particular playthrough is going to be a firing 20-inch torpedoes, which is already a little bit of an issue, but we can fit one here, and we can fit one aft. Yeah, that works, sort of. So that leaves us with the superstructure, but the problem is where we're going to put the guns now. So maybe we can see if we can fit the torpedo launchers around here. I haven't messed with the beam yet. We can make these a bit broader to fit things on them, but we do need to fit a secondary. Let's see if we can fit the very simple secondary tower just in the middle here. So that would sort of work. No, that actually gets in the way of the torpedo launchers. How about here? Not much better. We could put it over there. No, this gets in the way of the launches because of the... So this is one thing that the game doesn't do very well. It doesn't mirror the torpedo launchers too well, because they're all sort of the same. They all have the controls on the same side, which means that in order to swing around, this gets in the way. That's where things get in the way here. Whereas, oh no, it doesn't work on the other side either. Okay. So that doesn't work. Let's see if we can increase the beam of these things a little bit. Let's give them a 5% beam increase, and then just see if we can move the torpedo launchers. Can we get a... yeah, if we stick them right at the edge. Okay, let's see if we move that thing forward. That doesn't interfere with the launches. Here it would, so let's leave it there. And then we'll duplicate these to... come on, there we go. And then we can arc... yeah, now we have enough space to fit the torpedo launchers in, sort of. The bigger problem now that I have, this works torpedo launcher wise, and that gives them a lot of torpedoes. The bigger problem is, where am I going to fit the guns? Now I do have to fit 3 more of these. This one's easy. I'll just stick it in the rear, and I don't think this interferes with the launchers. No, it does not. But when we're going to put the side-mounted guns, because I don't think I can stick them in here still. No, I can't get them on top there. And I do need an additional 2 4-inch guns. Now this is part of the hull. I can't modify this bit here. I could try to push the torpedo launchers backwards a little bit more, because I can still get the guns further back in the rear before they start interfering with what is looking like... that's probably depth charges. So I can get the gun back here to fire over that, never mind the blast. These are small particularities. So let's see if we can move everything a little bit rearwards. Let's get the... well, how far back can we bring the torpedo launchers before things get weird? This works, and we can put another one sort of right behind it, and that would leave us sufficient. Space. Now they should be here, but we can probably... can we stick them? Yes, we can stick them here. That's sort of the next... that is sort of the next best position we can get. Probably there. Okay, so that works. Oh, come on. Really, game? Rotate that one, please. That's triggering. Okay. I would like this... I would like this to be... because I mean, I can leave it like this, actually. It doesn't really matter. It's just if I need to move the torpedo launchers, because I haven't put the tower down yet. So if we put the rear tower down somewhere, we could stick the rear tower here, which I think is too close. Yeah, that's way too close to the... that is way too close. That should be somewhere in the back there. So what I want is I want these things to rotate thusly, which means I will have to sort of pick this one up and rotate it by hand. Nope, other way. Nope, nope. Hang on, I'm looking for the right key. Which one is it? Q? No. Oh, T. Okay. So let's... hang on. Let's do this from the top so I can actually get the layout right. And... come on. Nope. That was the tower. Okay, this is a little fiddly. Let's try it. No. That did not work. Let's try that again. This is a little fiddly, but that's often a problem. You should have seen me trying to get the en echelon configuration on the Nassau class working in the previous playthrough. Lots of swearing was involved, I can tell you that much. Okay, let's pick up this turret and rotate it there. Okay. Alright, that looks good gun-wise. And the guns actually have reasonable arcs. They're not on top where they should be, but they're not also as far as far behind as that we can't. Now, can we fit the torpedoes a little further back? Apparently we can't, because that gets in the way of the gun arc. Why is it so finicky about the gun arcs? Maybe I need to put the torpedoes first. Okay, let's try to move the torpedo launchers back. Okay, let's just delete those. Try to move these back here, which is sort of where I want them. This is going to impede the gun arcs, but I'm okay with that, because that should allow me to fit the simple rear tower in here. Or can I even fit one of these? I could, but then I think the torpedo launchers aren't working anymore. Yep. So simple rear tower it is, despite that not being completely accurate, because otherwise we can't get the torpedo launchers to even torpedo launch. And we can now attempt... Really? If I do this, it doesn't work? But if I do this, it works? I mean, okay, I'll take it. That means I don't need to finagle around with these things. All right, so there we go. So now we have a sort of a Wickes class destroyer. Now we're not complete yet, I think. We need to... What else did they have? I think they had a 3-inch gun somewhere. Yeah, so 3-inch would be 76mm. Main guns, 3-inch, single. Well, that one comes in a turret. That's larger than the... Why? This must be a tech tree thing, but look at that. The 3-inch mount is actually larger than the 4-inch mount. That's a bit silly. So I can't put a 3-inch AA gun in there. Then in that case, can we put a 2-inch gun somewhere? 2-inch single barrel? So we can't put anything onto these observation platforms at all. I don't have anywhere, and I can't put any casemates anywhere. So I think we're not going to be able to place the secondary battery, which means that we should be complete in terms of outfit on these things. Let's get the details right. Range is on the short side. We're still down to 1,400 tons. I think these were running geared steam turbines. So geared turbines, yep. We've got engine efficiency to spare with these 4 stacks, so we can stick a natural boilers. But I think they were running coal still. I might be wrong there, but we'll go with coal here. And I'll just put some very basic things onto them. They are destroyers, so unbalanced rudder might not be a terrible choice for a maneuverable destroyer. And we can just go with hydraulic steering. Now armor-wise, I am probably just gonna stick... I don't think they had any armor, but let me see if I can find anything. No, nothing in my notes about armor. So it was probably like a 1-inch splinter protection or something. So we may as well stick with the... What is this? This is just some form of cemented armor. This is a slightly better cemented armor. I would really have to look up the details. I might need to do that for the battleships. It doesn't really matter too much for smaller ships. So we'll stick with Krupp 1. This is an older design. The Wickes were... When were they designed? They were built in 1917, so it's actually not that much older. So let's go with that. We'll go with the double bottom hull, slightly reinforced bulkheads. They can do a little bit of counter flooding. I think anti-flood 1 is counter flooding. Yeah, basic counter flooding. So let's double check. Let's make sure we get the armor right. So we do 1-inch splinter protection pretty much around the ship. We might need to use the armor plating a little bit to balance the thing out. I haven't done anything on balancing yet, but we'll just see if we can get an inch all around. And that's that. Did the turrets? No, these were actually open. These were open top. So we're basically not giving them any armor. We'll make that 0, because technically these were supposed to be just open gun mounts. They did not even have a gun shields, I think, if I'm correct. Casemate armor doesn't happen. Gun caliber. What were these guns? These were 4-inch 50s, and what do we have here? 4-inch 32s. Yeah, that is often a bit of a problem. How much length can we put into these? 15%. So the best we can do is 4-inch 36. 36 caliber length. Yeah, that's the best we can get. All right, then. That's what it is. And we've got the 20-inch torpedoes, despite that should have been 21-inch torpedoes, but the timelines are diverging very slightly. So, next question. I think now I haven't looked in detail what kind of bursting charge the Americans would have been firing, and what kind of propellant. I think tube powder was a specific German thing, and cordite was more what the British would have been using. So I think we're going to stick with cordite for now. And I think they had TNT as bursting charges at the era, but don't quote me on that. I haven't done. And honestly, I'm not too concerned about these small details, because this is not like a 100% historical playthrough or anything. I just want to get a somewhat historical basic setup that doesn't look completely outrageous. We'll give him some basic mine laying, mine sweeping. Did they have depth charges? That is an interesting question. I don't think they did. That might have been a later refit. No. Okay, anti-submarine warfare armament was added during World War I, so they would have already had depth charges. Okay, good. So we'll give them depth charges, basic depth charges, and just a very basic. These are supposed to be mass produced, so we're not going to make them too expensive. We give them basic coincidence rangefinder, because again, stereoscopics would have been the Germans usually. I'm not sure if the Americans were using stereoscopic. I think they were using coincidence. So did they have radios in these things? Not at the time, I think. Hydrophones? Maybe. We'll give them basic hydrophones. That's about it. Now, shells, 4-inch. What can these guns do? I do need something that can. What do we currently have? Semi-armor piercing shells. So maximum damage, minimum penetration. They can. What can they do with these shells? Come on, show me. Come on, game. There we go. 2,500 meter, 2.7-inch belt penetration. That should be enough. 1.7-inch. We can go one tick up. Some semi-ballistic gives us a little higher penetration. Yeah, this should be good enough against destroyers. And we'll just go with high-capacity HE shells, because we're not going to ever penetrate anything with 4-inch HE anyway. But we may as well try to set fires, which is going to be increased due to this. I think we are going with the standard ratio, honestly, because the HE shells are going to be even the. What if we put them to nose fuse? Would they still wouldn't have an inch penetration? No, we'll leave them on high capacity, but we're going with standard ratio. And we'll leave the rest as is. This is our oldest design. I mean, it's 3 years old. It's the production line is started 3 years ago, so it is not that old, but it is one of our older designs. So we're just gonna stick with the basics here, and that means we are well within the displacement. I would have lowered it down further, but I can't get it any further down. So I think I'm somewhat happy with this. Now let's try to deal with offset a little. We can potentially move the whole assembly line a little forwards, because yeah, that works. So let's move the engine spaces forward here. These are quite heavy, so come on, let me. No? Okay, I can't replace these. All right then. In that case, we just move them and let them stick. Yeah, I can't replace them for some reason. Okay, there we go. Wow, look at that. That's a balanced destroyer. 0.1 aft weight offset. 260% engine efficiency, because we have 4 stacks in here, which is more than we'd actually need. But I think this is quite a mean little multi-purpose boat. The main problem the Wickes were having was short range. So we'll we'll rectify that with the Clemsons, which are going to be very similar but slightly bigger. But I think I'm happy with this one, and we are going to save that design, and there we go. And that's it for today. I will still have a couple more episodes. So right now, let me look at my list, what I've got planned. I've definitely got the Clemson class planned. Not sure with the heavy cruisers. I think not yet, but I'll have to check. But we'll be going through the battleship motions, so that's going to be interesting. And did they already have Omahas in at that time? I think Omahas were a post World War I design, so I'm gonna have to check if we need those as well. But the US Navy at the time was quite reliant on destroyer battleship combos, so that's pretty much what we're going with. And maybe we'll throw a couple of small cruisers in there, and then we've got the whole heavy cruiser interwar thing to go with. And we'll see where the story is driving us, but for now, that is the Wickes class of destroyer. Doesn't look completely terrible. Looks better than when I tried this last time in 1.3. Anyway, that's it from me today. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.